Welcome to the Local Domination Podcast, your ultimate guide to get local clients fast. Featuring interviews with local marketing and lead generation experts who will show you exactly how to attract local clients and dominate your market. And now, here's your host, Doran Aldana.
All right, welcome everyone to another episode of the Local Domination Podcast, your ultimate guide to getting local clients fast. And this is your host, Doran Aldana, with another kick-ass episode for you. And this one is certainly no exception to the theme of awesome. I've got the one, the only Wes Schaeffer on the line with me today. And what we're going to talk about is sales simplified in a way that you can get it, use it, and profit from it. In fact, he is not just an expert in sales, he's an author in sales. He's got a book called The Sales Whisperer. I love the name. He's a keynote speaker, trainer, inbound marketing expert, copywriter. He's worked with HubSpot and Infusionsoft as a consultant to be able to teach people the ins and outs of those platforms for maximum profit and performance. And if you have problems with technology and using technology in your sales and marketing, this guy will definitely open your eyes to how to use it in a way that's simple and effective. And he's got two books that I'd like to highlight. In addition to that, he's also got The Definitive Guide to Infusionsoft. And he's also got another book called It Takes More Than a Big Smile, a Good Idea, and a Twitter Account to Build a Business That Lasts. And of course, The Sales Whisperer as well is his tagline / brand in the market space. So super stoked to have Wes on and looking forward to learning myself about how to take the sales to the next level. So Wes, thanks for being with us today.
Hey man, thanks for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure, my man. And why don't we kick things off for people who aren't familiar with who you are and where you come from, just a little bit of your story as to how you got into sales in general, then how you got to be an expert in that arena and, get into the arena called being an author, trainer, and expert in helping people take their business to the next level. I'm curious.
Well, I was highly trained in sales and marketing in the Air Force with a geography and a meteorology degree. So I was just destined for greatness.
Right. What else do you need for success, right?
Just roll right into sales, man.
Right. And interestingly enough, I took meteorology in school too. I was going to be a PE teacher and a geography teacher. So in geography, to get a geography minor, I needed to take those classes too. So you and I have that common bond, meteorology. We know about how to tell everyone what the weather is, even if it ain't right. That's one of the best jobs ever. You can tell people a bunch of bullshit that you hope was accurate, but you don't know for certain, and get paid for it.
Yep. So that, so in a weird sort of way, it did kind of help me be a good salesperson because you tell them one thing, what you think is going to be, and then you were wrong, and the next day you convince them to believe your next day forecast.
Right?
Like, no, really, this time it's better.
Without diminishing your credibility, right?
We have new models, really. We had an algorithm update. We're much more accurate. Really,
and people mysteriously keep dialing in and tuning in. How does that work, right?
I remember one time some guys yelled at me. They said, "Man, you said it was going to be raining. There's no rain." I said, "Never trust a weatherman that's also a golfer." Right. I told all of you it was going to rain, so you wouldn't make a tee time. I had the course to myself.
That's right.
So who's the dummy here?
You got some self-serving motivations going on here. I get it.
Man, I was taking online payments back before it even existed, man. I said, "Hey, y'all send me a little money, and I will give you the real forecast
right.
when you can golf or not."
You can get the free stuff, which you know how accurate that is, or you can get the real deal. I accept Visa, MasterCard, Amex, or Discover. What would you prefer?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Get what you pay for, people.
That's right. Good and cheap ain't good. So nothing's new.
Yeah. So I did that, and I got out in '97 because I wanted to be paid according to my production. So I left a comfy job. I was an officer in the Air Force. My wife and I, we'd been married maybe 2 years. And we had a baby, another one on the way, and I left it all behind. Jumped into commission sales, man. here we are, 21 years later, still getting after it.
There you go. So no safety net. You eat what you kill. 100% commission sales. You're either gonna rise to the occasion or you're gonna have skinny kids. So apparently you found a way to win. So tell us about that journey in terms of how you navigated yourself from cutting your teeth into this unforgiving realm called 100% commission to really becoming an expert in it and helping other business owners build that muscle.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, there were some dark days. There were some sleepless nights. I was on unemployment when 2 of my kids were born. So it was certainly a bumpy road. Mm-hmm. And 23 years now. My wife stayed home. We got 7 kids, and
wow. High performer.
So she manages the income, but I'm the one that has to make it.
I thought I was a sucker for punishment with 4, but you almost doubled me, man.
Man, I'm telling you, it's so yeah. I had to produce. I mean, none of this. I'm gonna go find myself kind of BS. Mm-hmm. Show me something I can use today to make myself more efficient tomorrow. And I've always been a very practical, pragmatic. It's like I don't want this esoteric stuff. Mm-hmm. Cut to the chase. Mm-hmm. Let's get after it and let's implement. And I think that's where most people fail. It's not that they have a bad business model. They don't ever test it. They don't really ever push it. And they're dreaming. They're attending workshops. They're taking notes. They're not doing. And I always loved Zig Ziglar. He talked about what would he say? He would say, be, do, have. Mm-hmm. And I think it's do, become, have. Mm. I think you do, like a golfer, right? You do what a professional golfer does to become a professional golfer, mm-hmm. and then you will have what professional golfers have.
Right.
So you need to do what successful entrepreneurs do, and then you will become one, and then you'll have what they have.
And obviously that pre-necessitates that you're being committed, that you're being resourceful, that you're being decisive, that you're so there's that beingness that is the prerequisite to the doing, and I think that's probably what Zig was talking about. Because if you're not committed, you're not going to do the work of the committed, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I can see it going both ways, but oftentimes people overcomplicate it and they say, well, I need X, Y, and Z. I need to polish my plan. Well, the winners in this world take imperfect action while losers are still polishing up their perfect plans. So I totally get that doing is mission critical. So as you were on the journey doing, Wes, and you were on unemployment, you had 2 kids, you were struggling, and meanwhile, you're the sole provider for your household, your family. Your wife's depending on you to keep, food on the table. How did you make that shift from struggling to thriving? How did you create that breakthrough? What was the pivot point? What was the key insight or the key element that had you really create a breakthrough?
Well, the main thing is to never stop.
Right.
I was always inquisitive, always testing new things. And I wasn't afraid to shift gears. I wasn't afraid to, and working in high-tech sales, I mean, I was laid off so many times, it was just crazy. And I had to adapt and overcome in those regards. But, living within our means is one of the big things that gave me the staying power. Mm-hmm. Too many people, they jump in and they go crazy. Mm-hmm. But I gotta have the latest software and the latest computer and on and on and on. Fancy car, whatever. I gotta fake it till I make it, right? And it's like, oh hell no. Used cars, working from home, bootstrapping this thing. And I would invest in the right tools when it made sense. But there's a dichotomy in everything, right? You do have to have the best to have the best leverage, but sometimes you just have to grind it out to make the money to be able to afford the best. But if you're living beyond your means, there's a handful of people that like that onto the head existence, but it doesn't work for me. Mm-hmm. deadlines are fine, but crushing burdens, like literally about to lose your house, and I don't work well in those extreme cases.
Yeah, well, obviously, as soon as you have that kind of extreme necessity for income, it's pretty hard to detach yourself from the outcome in the sales conversation. And all of a sudden you've got what I call commission breath or commission halitosis, where you're scaring people off because of your energetic need. They can feel it, the moment you're attached to the outcome, and they're noticing you're chasing them and you're needy. That's like an instant repellent, right? You might as well smother yourself with poop and expect people to be attracted to it. It just ain't gonna happen. So there's a certain amount of comfort in the process that really helps ascend to higher levels of production versus, we've heard the saying that necessity is the mother of invention, and that sometimes it's not just inspiration but desperation that creates the breakthrough. But certainly if we can save ourselves unnecessary pressure where we're literally on the verge of losing our house if we don't make that sale, that's always recommended. But let's look at the sales game and what it takes to help people create breakthroughs. So what did you find as you were on your journey were the top 1, 2, or 3 keys to your success, that really made a difference in taking your income to the next level?
The biggest is you have to have a process. Salespeople think they can just wing it. They think it's artistic and you can feel your way through. The reality is people are just as predictable as a machine. If I walk up to you and you tell me your name and I'm like, Doran, what kind of name is Doran? It's like Dora the Explorer. I mean, what the hell? I mean, what kind of name is that? You'd be like, yeah, I don't like this guy.
Now, that's kind of intuitive, right? I think most salespeople tend to lean the other direction, where they, maybe are trying too hard and they're a little too patronizing, and they're saying, "Wow, you're so great," and da 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 da. I think most people. Well,
it goes both ways. But salespeople, usually we're making mistakes we don't even know. Okay, that's why, like, when I got serious about golf, my dad bought me golf lessons for my 23rd birthday. I don't know if he loves me or hates me, because that's a crazy game. I don't know why I got it. Right. But I was hooked. I was just finishing up grad school at Texas A&M and about to be deployed. And so I just went bonkers. I mean, I was single. I had more money than I could spend. And just got after it. And right before I left for Korea, actually, I went out to see my dad. He was in Jacksonville at the time. And I met with a golf pro that recorded you. He filmed you. And I probably took 5 swings of the golf club. And the rest of the lesson we were watching video. He had 3 cameras, one from the top, one from the front, and one from behind. So you could see yourself in 3 dimensions. Where were you shifting? Where was the head? Where's the wrist? Where's the knee? Where's the hip? I mean, you're looking at everything. Mm-hmm. Okay? My game improved exponentially from recording myself. Okay? Because I could finally see the mistakes. Mm-hmm. And unless, I always say you can't read the label from inside the bottle.
I like that.
Okay? Salespeople, you're making mistakes that you don't know. So maybe... I would say, for the most part, a decent salesperson is not being so ignorant as to criticize somebody's name, right? But I mean, I'm making an extreme example, but they will say, a more obvious example, and I see this all the time. Let's say you're selling Fords, right? And I pull up in a Chevy, and you walk up to me and say, "Chevy driver, man, I'm surprised that thing didn't even get towed here. Those trucks suck."
Right.
Okay. Now maybe it does. Maybe it does, right? And I probably agree. I'm probably tired of this thing. Right. But now you're criticizing my decision. So when you criticize the competition. Indirectly, you're telling your prospect that they made a bad decision. And so, I mean, it's just another example, though. People are very predictable. And so I like to turn things around. If I'm selling Fords, you pull up in a Chevy and you're like, man, look at these new F-150s. I would turn it around and say, man, you got that HD, 1500 or whatever. I mean, dude, that's a solid truck. Why you want to shift? I'm like, dude, I rarely see people change from Chevy to Fords. What's driving this decision?
Right.
Okay. And I want you to criticize what you're driving, because that's just driving you into my arms. Like, no pun intended, right? But you're like, let me tell you something. This thing's been a problem since day one. The suspension's had issues. This thing's been leaking oil. Yeah, they had a recall. They fixed it. It's still leaking oil. They won't fix it. I've been, it's ruining my driveway. And blah blah blah. Transmissions had a problem. On and on, right? The sound quality, I'm in sales and I'm driving around, people can't hear because it's so loud going through the window, on and on, right? So I'm just going to let you get yourself worked up. And I didn't say a thing about Chevy.
Meanwhile, they're selling themselves on why they don't want a Chevy and why they're looking for a better alternative.
Exactly.
Right.
And I'm just like nodding. Yeah.
And you could have said the exact same thing he's thinking, but it's one thing if you say it, it's a whole other thing if he says it.
Yeah, and so that's the other thing in sales, right? So number one is you need to have a process, and number two is whoever's asking the questions is in control of the conversation. Okay, so like you mentioned, before we hit record, you work with local businesses like chiropractors, for example. I've seen a chiropractor for years, but anybody in the healthcare field, you see how that works. You walk in, you meet with the physician's assistant. They do an intake. You fill out a whole health history. Then they'll weigh you. They'll take your blood pressure. They'll take your height, and they'll go through the whole list with you verbally. Then the doctor will come in, tell me what's going on. Where does it hurt? Does it hurt when you sit? Does it hurt when you stand? Does it hurt when you go down to sit? Does it hurt when you turn to the left, to the right? They're asking all these things. That doctor is in control of the conversation. Okay, and you do what they say, and then take it a step further. Right? If you're going in to a medical doctor, you're going in for a physical. Guess what? Take your clothes off, put this robe on that does not tie in the back, sit on this crinkly paper, and it's cold in here, and I'll get to you when I can. And when I do, you're going to do what I say, including dropping the robe. Okay?
Or bending over.
They are comfortable making you uncomfortable. Okay, and they're not making you uncomfortable on purpose. You're just uncomfortable being naked in front of somebody you don't know, and you're going to get poked and prodded. But they have to get you in those positions so they can do a thorough examination. Right. And from the thorough examination, they can make an accurate diagnosis. And from an accurate diagnosis, they can give you an accurate prescription. Because if I don't do all of the above before I give you a prescription, it's malpractice.
True.
Okay. Well, there's sales malpractice. You come driving up and I just want to, I'm a good salesperson. I know hypnosis and NLP, and I'm pushy and blah, blah, blah. And I steer you into this, F350 Platinum Edition extended warranty, blah, blah, $75,000, when all you really could afford was like $30,000. 6 months from now, that thing's getting repossessed. That's sales malpractice.
Agreed. So it's really about a doctor frame. Even though we're not necessarily doctors, we bring that doctor frame into our mentality, our identity, so that we are not selling anymore. We're diagnosing, we're discerning, we're getting clarity on their situation, their pain, their problem. Then we're prescribing the proper prescription for what ails them, whatever is the best solution to get them out of their pain and into their desired outcome. And all of that is inside of a doctor frame where we respect what we bring to the table at a similar, if not higher level, that a doctor respects what they're doing for their patient in terms of making real impact in someone's life. And we're not trying to, just like a doctor wouldn't, try and sell the patient on their prescription. They want the patient to get healed. They want the patient to be cured of what ails them, but it's not like they're going to sell them on, hey, listen, we've got this special discount on XYZ prescription, and normally it's X, but today it's Y. And you really should consider buying it today. Like, they couldn't give really a rat's ass whether the client does it or not from the standpoint of urgency. They care about the client. They want the client to be healed. But at the end of the day, it's the client who has to suffer if they don't do anything about it. Is that
Sure.
kind of what you're talking about?
Exactly.
I love it. So bring that doctor frame. So we need a process. And when you say process, do you mean like a script? Do you mean like a step-by-step process from prospect to client to evangelist, like a step-by-step process on how you're going to take someone through the client continuum? What do you mean by process? You need a process.
Yep, all the above.
Okay.
So I know how you're going to react. Okay? Because I've done this long enough. And again, whoever's asking the question is in control of the conversation. I know, like, if I'm selling Fords, that if I just stand there, I'm smoking my cigarette out on the front lobby, patio, and I walk up, hey, how you doing? Welcome to Wes's Ford. How the heck can I help you? I'm like, yeah, I'm looking for Fords. Look, I'm looking for that F-150. I need a 4x4, you know what? And it's got to be the crew cab, and I want the GPS, and I'm not paying extra. I'm not paying no dock fees. I'm not paying. So look, let me ask you something. Are you going to throw in a free warranty and, on and on? You just start peppering me. I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can ask more questions than I can ever answer.
That's very true.
And so yes, there's got to be a script, because there's all a script. Okay, let's say if I just walk up to you and I say, hey, Dorn, how are you?
And I say, I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for asking. Right? That's a script.
Right.
We're all running around. We're playing these scripts over in our mind, and it's human nature. Okay? It's literally wired in our DNA and our brains. Where the brain's number one job is to conserve energy and keep you alive. Okay? And so we're trying to reduce the number of decisions, and we're trying to accelerate the number of decisions that we make. And so we're running through this loop, right? I would bet good money that if I turned all the lights off in your house, or if I blindfolded you, you could probably still get out of bed, brush your teeth, shower, dry off, and get dressed, and probably have the proper color-coordinated clothes on. Doing all of that while in the dark.
I might bump into a few walls here and there, but I think your assessment's relatively accurate.
Yeah, I mean, we have routines, right? I mean, you don't finish brushing your teeth and then like hand it to your dog and say, go hide this, and tomorrow I'll figure out where it is, because that'll be fun.
Yeah, it'll be chewed up into smithereens.
Yeah, I mean, you don't do that. We have routines to actually make us more efficient. Okay, you can get up, you can brush your teeth, you can shower, and you're not thinking about, well, do I grab the soap with my left hand or my right hand?
Right, it's all habit.
It's all habit. In the meantime, you're thinking about other things. You're thinking about your day. You're thinking about some troubling issue at work where you're trying to noodle a new angle and how to solve it, and it frees you up. And so we all have these routines. The prospect has a routine. Okay, salespeople are bad. Salespeople are mean. Salespeople are pushy. They're greedy. They're manipulative. They're a coin operator. They're going to take my money. Therefore, I must put up the defenses. I must fight them off. I must lie to them. I must ask them more questions. I must not answer truthfully. Otherwise, I will get manipulated and I will overpay. So they go in ready.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're ready to do battle, right? And then you turn it around on them. Hey, Doran, welcome to Ford. What brings you in today?
I'm looking for a Ford.
You're like, oh crap. Yeah, I mean,
I'm just looking.
Say,
that's the classic line, right?
Yep. Say, fantastic. What are you looking to buy today?
Right.
Okay? I know it's coming. I know you're going to answer with one of these few things.
Mm-hmm.
You go, that's very funny. Well, I mean, say, look, Doran, let's, I mean, maybe your wife is having a baby shower and you just want to get out of the house, and hanging out at a car dealership is more fun than hanging out at a baby shower. Okay, I get it. But unless that's happening,
not likely.
Unless that's happening, you're interested in a truck or a sports car or a minivan. I mean, so what brings you in today?
So what are the typical ways that salespeople cause the buyer defense mechanism walls to go up, and how do you overcome that so they get dismantled?
Well, so salespeople always tell me, "Oh, but I'm different. If they just give me a chance. If I get in front of a qualified prospect, they'll see I'm different." So, okay. Well, you prove you're different by being different. Mm-hmm. Okay, from the very beginning. So if I walk up to you at that dealership and I make a beeline for you, "Hi, welcome to Wes's Ford. How can I help you?" I'm acting just like every other salesperson you've ever seen.
Right.
If I approach you literally from an angle, not trying to cut off your path, I don't immediately stick my hand out. I wait for you to put your hand out, and instead of asking you, "How can I help you today?" I say, "What brings you in today?" Mm-hmm. All right. It sounds like no big deal, all right? But small hinges swing big doors. Mm-hmm. What brings you in today? You probably weren't expecting that. So now you're going to answer a little more honestly, because that's, if I know, like in football, if I know that on 3rd and long, you're going to take number 88, you're going to put them on the wide side of the field, and you're going to run a post pattern. Okay, then when it's 3rd and long, and I see number 88 go wide, and I'm the defensive coordinator, right? I'm going to shift my cornerback in. I'm going to shift my outside linebacker out a little bit. I'm going to cheat my free safety up a little bit, and we're going to get an interception. Okay, I'm looking forward to that scenario because I've already studied you, and I know what you're going to do. Mm-hmm. So now you think you know what I'm going to do. You think I'm going to run up to you, shake your hand, try to make a sale. So, "Hey, what brings you in today?" "Well, I'm looking for a Ford." Because you know what? That's not obvious. Maybe you're going to the used car section. It's like, "Hey, I'm actually looking for that Chevy right there you got on the front of the lot."
Right.
"Hey, a nice truck." So don't assume anything. My 7 deadly sins of selling. There's assumption malfunction. I don't assume anything. What brings you on today? "Well, I'm looking to get a truck." Fantastic. New or used? New. Fantastic. Gas or diesel? Diesel. 2x4 or 4x4? 4x4. Extended cab? What? Yep. Extended cab, leather, boom, boom. Fantastic. Are you looking, do you have a trade-in? Nope, no trade-in. They're going to pay cash or finance? Finance. Let's go look. Now I know where we're going. Okay. And now I can see what you're driving. Hey, how long have you had that? Okay, you're not doing a trade-in, so you're keeping that. Are you a Ford guy? You a Chevy guy? What? You looking for value? What's going on? Tell me. Mm-hmm. So by asking just simple questions, non-threatening, we can start to dial this thing in. But I'm never pushing you, and I'm not acting the way you expect me to act.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're asking really good questions, and obviously you're asking in a way that the other person receiving the questions gets that you genuinely care, that you have genuine caring, curiosity, and concern about helping them get what they want if you're able to. So you have, again, that doctor frame, right? Diagnosis, asking really good questions in the right sequence. And sequence is key, right? You're going from 3,000 foot right down to face in the mirror, but you're not, like you say, you need a process. You're not flying by the seat of your pants. You know what the sequence is in advance, and pretty much everyone's going to funnel through the same sequence. Is that right?
Yep. Right.
So we're not just winging it. If you want to wing it, you're going to make your sales are going to grow wings and take flight. That's one.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You don't want to wing it. You want to have a rock solid plan. And then you want to work that plan the work the plan. So we don't want to assume anything. We want to ask the right questions. How are people typically derailing the sale? We've already covered a couple of them. One is winging it. The other one is not asking the right questions. Another one is criticizing the competition in a way that doesn't attract the client or customer, but repels them, making assumptions instead of asking. What other egregious mistakes are people making as they're blundering through their sales efforts?
Well, I like to say, I like to close first and then present.
So how does that work?
So I follow an agenda, right? Especially on bigger ticket sales. This really works. And you can do this even in car sales or chiropractic sales or whatever, with your marketing, with how they opt in and how you make an offer to them to engage and step up. But I have, if they go to thesalesagenda.com, it's a free download, it's a PDF, and it explains, it's the exact agenda I've used since I hired a professional coach in 2006. I was still in high tech. It was right before I got out and went on my own. But it was
thesalesagenda.com.
Yep. And so in a high ticket sale, let's say you and I are speaking, and I'm selling $50,000 computer systems, and you call, you opt in, you say, yeah, I'm curious about how this works, I'd like to schedule a time to meet, blah blah blah. So we talk, and I determined that you're real. And I did this. I sold a lot to healthcare, I sold to financial services, I sold to the military. I was selling to this hospital, and I'm like, so okay, Doran, sounds like this might be able to benefit your hospital, your IT department. So when do you want to meet? So we both agree next Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Say fantastic. So I'd say, Doran, so in the interest of time, would it make sense that we set a quick agenda for our time together next week?
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to say,
sure.
Yeah. Nobody says no. I just want to wing it. Right? They're all busy. Especially in B2B, even in B2C, if you're showing up as an insurance agent, they want to cut to the chase too. They don't want you in their house forever, So say, okay, so in the interest of time, would it make sense we set a quick agenda? You go, yeah, sure. Say, well, look, believe it or not, the ultimate reason for us meeting is to see if there's chemistry, to see if there's a fit, to see if we even want to work together.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fair?
Right.
Yep. So I have two simple ground rules: that we're open and honest with each other, and either of us can end the meeting at any time for any reason. Okay? The last thing I want is for you to sit there cringing while I go through 87 slides and a 46-page workbook and a 2-hour demo when, 5 minutes into this, you see that it's not going to be conducive, that it won't work with your systems, it won't integrate. And conversely, if I hear something that just blows up the deal, that I know it won't work, I'll tell you that as well. Is that fair?
Totally fair.
Okay. I'm going to have more questions for you than you probably ever thought imaginable about your network, about your interoperability, about your workflow, about the team, about your deadlines, blah, blah, blah. You may want to jot down a few for me. Okay? And at the end, we'll decide on what the next steps are, even if there are no next steps. Okay? Because if you tell me you want to think it over, I'm going to assume you just don't want to hurt my feelings and that we don't have a deal. Does that still sound like a meeting you want to have?
Pretty hard to say no to that.
Yeah, so say fine. All right, I'll see you Tuesday at 1. So then I'm going to email you that agenda. Okay, Doran, great talking with you. I have you down for Tuesday at 1. I'll be on time. By the way, here's the agenda we just discussed. So I'll see you then. Now we show up, and this happened. This IT director had like 4 or 5 other people in the room, because these were big systems. They started at $50,000. They went up to, I sold millions of dollars worth of this stuff. And so they'd have hardware people, software people, server side, client side, on and on and on. And so I'm like, okay, Doran, great to see you. Hey, do we still have an hour? Because sometimes things change, right? Hey, do we still have an hour? Yep. Hey, do you have that agenda? Oh, I forgot to bring it with me. Hey, no problem. I would always have 5 or 10 with me printed out. So I'd pass them out to everybody. And then say, does that look like what we talked about? Yeah. Anything you want to add or, modify? No, that's about it. Okay. Go ahead and start. Okay. They're accustomed to the salesperson showing up with a laptop and demos and pens and, notebooks they can write in with their logos on it, and they're going to give this big fancy presentation. And I show up with a pad of paper and a pen. Mm-hmm. Because remember, I closed you first.
With the agenda.
And on there that you agreed to, I said, I'm going to show up with more questions for you about your network, about your time frame, about your issues, about your concerns, about your staffing. I want to have more questions than you probably ever thought imaginable about your business. You may want to jot down a few for me.
I really like that line you've got. Either of us can end the meeting at any time for any reason. I love that.
Dude, I passed that out, and it's the most memorable thing ever when I used that. And there's a guy, this young IT, this young techie, and he's, been ordered to go to this meeting. So he's sitting back like, great. Another harebrained idea from my IT director. He goes to these trade shows and he comes back and he has 87 projects he wants to implement. Meanwhile, we're behind schedule on the other 187 projects he's already pulled up. I got to meet with this slick, cheesy, penny loafer, khaki wearing sales guy who's going to tell some bad jokes and ask me about my kittens. I got stuff to do. Mm-hmm. But he reads that he can end the meeting at any time. He literally leaned forward, unfolded his arms, grabbed that agenda, zoomed in on it, and was engaged for the whole meeting.
I love it. I'm actually thinking about including that in my emails for my appointments. When people book a breakthrough call with one of my consultants, they get a confirmation email. That's a perfect thing to embed in the confirmation reminder email. I mean, that's just beautiful. Because what it does is, as you said, it disarms people. Because the first reaction, the buyer defense mechanism comes up, and they're thinking, oh no, I'm about to get sold. This is just going to be another sales pitch, right?
Right.
So it's what I would call an easy exit. It makes it easy for people to exit the conversation if it's not relevant or valuable.
Right. Yep.
So I love that. So did you have anything else you wanted to share in terms of common mistakes that cause people to leave a lot of money on the table in their sales conversations?
I can't give everything away. If I give everything away, then I'd be leaving money on the table. Right. Come on, man.
Wouldn't want to do that. We got to lead by example, right?
Well, it's so funny. So actually, I just interviewed a lady, Deb Calvert. She's an author, and she's in sales training and consulting. And you may want her on your show. She was really good. But we talked about how we both laugh, like when I'm out and about, and I'm buying something, and then I'll let it go for a while, and that salesperson will look up and say, "Yeah, so what do you do?" And I'll say, "Well, I'm in sales training," and I don't give them any pithy answer, right? It's like, "Well, I do sales training," or I train salespeople just like you, and so she'll do the same thing. She says when she does it, her husband just walks away. But I'll do it and see how they respond. Well, oh my gosh, well, how'd I do? Right? They'll always ask. And I'll say, well, hey, you know what? Give me like one tip. Like what's something like you always teach people? And I say, never do free consulting.
And there's a lot of truth to that. In fact, I was just telling one of my consultants today, the surest way to derail the sale is to do consulting. Don't consult, diagnose and prescribe. Do not consult. So I wholeheartedly agree. Because all that does is just put a Band-Aid on the problem. It doesn't actually get to the root of the problem. It just puts a Band-Aid on, makes the salesperson feel like they're more important because they're prescribing some holy grail, insight and revelation to the client. So they feel like, their ego's getting stroked. But in terms of actually helping the client create a breakthrough, it does nothing but create a counterproductive Band-Aid. It doesn't get to the root of the problem. So I'm right there with you on that, brother. I'm reading your mail.
Yeah, I mean, stop soothing your own ego, right? Your own need for validation by, yapping all over these people. ask them questions, help them reach, a mutually agreed upon decision, and then move forward. And, I tell people, look, 4 parts. Selling is a calling. Serving is its purpose. Questioning is the process. And a sale may be the solution.
Can you say that again? That was awesome. I like that.
So selling is a calling. Serving is its purpose. Questioning is the process. And a sale may be the solution. If you go in there thinking you got to sell everybody, then you're coming across as hungry and desperate. And when you're hungry and desperate, you can't give it away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
That's so true.
I am not qualifying people. I am disqualifying people. Okay? I know that despite the best marketing in the world, the best sequences in the world, only a small percentage of the people I speak to are ready, willing, and able to buy and implement what I sell.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm laid back. I'm expecting it not to work. And I'm actually pushing people away. Depending on my coaching programs or the software that I'm selling, I'm pushing them away. This guy today, I was doing a demo, because I sell software. I sell Infusionsoft and Entreport and HubSpot and Nimble and ActiveCampaign, and the guy's like, he thought like I was an employee and of Infusionsoft and HubSpot, and so like I couldn't say anything. I'm like, it'd be like me being an employee of Ford and Chevy. I mean, they're competitors,
right?
I was like, no, I'm an independent. This guy's in insurance. I'm like an independent broker. I have access to all of them, and I'll find the right one for you. And because I'm like, look, some of the software is $9 a month, some of it's $3,000 a month. And while I would love to sell you the $3,000 a month software, it does us no good for me to cram you into something. Just the social media beating I would get from you would cause me to lose 100 sales.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather sell you a $9 piece of software that you keep for 10 years and you grow and it becomes $200 and $300 and $900 because you grew, and I get paid every month forever, right? I'm better off doing that than cramming you into something, overpay it. And I tell people all the time, it's 100% true that I downsell more people on software than I upsell. Because they come in thinking, hey, I want that Ford F350 Power Stroke Platinum Elite Luxury Super Duper Edition, jacked up 6-inch lift kit, power banks, exhaust. I'm like, dude, look, you need a Ford Ranger. You know what? You need a 12-year-old Ford Ranger. I got one right over here, $3,200. That's what you need.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're going to go bankrupt. This thing's going to get foreclosed. You're going to get mad at me. No.
Yeah, anything more would be hitting a finishing nail with a sledgehammer, right? It's just more than what's required, what's necessary. It reminds me of a great quote I heard from John Paul DeGioia, the owner of Paul Mitchell Systems and Roca Patron Tequila. He's a multi-billionaire and really just phenomenal entrepreneur. Doesn't even have an email account, doesn't even check email, but builds billion-dollar businesses all over the world. And he had a really profound insight I heard just today. He said, don't try to make the sale. You're not in the sales business. You're in the reorder business. You make one sale and your customer service is crap, your quality is crap, you'll only make one sale and probably get a refund request. If you provide exceptional service and give people an exceptional experience, now you're building a long-term customer with a multitude of repeat orders and referral business. I thought, wow, what a profound concept. Right? Yep. It's not a transaction business, it's a reorder business.
Yep.
So I think what you're saying is right on point with that, because you're starting off on the right foot, giving them exactly what they need, nothing less, nothing more. And you're doing it in a way where it's a pleasant experience because you're not ramming it down their throat. You're basically getting them to sell themselves on what they need, and you're just a pathway to help them get out of the hell they're in and into the heaven they want to be in. Is that the idea?
Yeah, I have, I redid that traditional sales pipeline or funnel. The pipeline, it just goes from left to right, stuff a bunch of stuff in the left and you hope some trickles out the right, or stuff a bunch in the top and hope it funnels down towards the bottom. And I made it the ABCDE system, and it's circular. You attract visitors, you attract them to opt in, so then you can bond with them, multimedia, multi-step, multi-touch, then you convert the sale, right? But that's only the halfway point, 3 out of 5, right? Then you got 2 more steps, you got 2 before the sale, 2 after the sale. And so then you have to deliver a wow experience. Then you endear yourself to them, right? Now you're getting referrals and testimonials, and guess what? We're back to the attraction. So those referrals and testimonials attract people. They come to you now pre-sold. Birds of a feather flock together, right? Yeah. So they attract faster, less expensive. Really, it's free now. So the bonding's easier. They convert to a sale easier. So you accelerate it. So he's absolutely right. It's that reorder process. You got to think. Rookies think that the sale is the goal because they just think that's it. But the reality is we've all had people do a chargeback or ask for a refund or go give a 1-star review on Yelp, and you're damaged. So you got to think way beyond that.
Agreed. We want what I call the cycle of awesome, where you're attracting your ideal client, giving them a wow experience, turning them from a client to an evangelist. Now they're telling all their friends, family, colleagues. Those people come to you pre-cooked, pre-tenderized, pre-sold, hot for what you got. It's like shooting fish in a barrel to convert them, and then the whole cycle continues. And the cycle of awesome is just an upward spiral of going from awesome to awesome, from goodward to Godward, as opposed to the cycle of suck, where all people are doing as you feed the funnel with your marketing is accelerating the speed at which people find out you suck, which obviously does not help much when it comes to profit and performance. So tell us about CRMs before we wrap up. Obviously, this is an area of expertise for you. What should every salesperson, every local business who's wanting to dominate their space know about CRMs and how to use them to accelerate their sales?
Well, what I tell people is that reality is CRMs are dead, at least insofar as the standalone. That's why Salesforce years ago bought Marketo, and that's why Marketo before that had purchased Pardot, because they need the automation. So to think that just having some stuff up in the cloud is enough, you're going to be in for a rude awakening. You need processes that you can, I call it automate, integrate, and dominate.
I like that. Automate, integrate, dominate.
That's what needs to happen. If you don't have your systems integrated seamlessly with an eye towards automation, then you're going to be in trouble. And it doesn't mean you have to automate the communication, but a lead comes in, there should be something that pops up that says, call this person. Reach out to this person. Okay, you left them a message. Boom. Set another reminder. It should be quick and easy. Send off an email. Hey, Doran, sorry I missed you. I'm going to give you a call tomorrow at 10. Boom. There should be a task on my calendar at 10 tomorrow to make call number 2. Okay, you need that automation. Otherwise, because people will say, well, I got this, like HubSpot. HubSpot has a free CRM. It's very nice. But they're smart. They want to get you in and using the platform, just like Apple. Apple, got you using an iPod. Next thing you know, you're buying a Mac. You're buying a MacBook Pro. You're buying an iPhone. So HubSpot wants you using their free tools, so you'll upgrade to them. But they know the automation is the key.
Absolutely. And so lots of different access points to automate, whether it be automating your lead follow-up when a lead opts in on your website so that you're able to indoctrinate and cultivate that relationship and perhaps get them on your calendar for a conversation. Automating tasking, so if you have a team, whether it be an admin team or operations team or sales team, so you can build it into your CRM sequence that when X happens, a task gets delivered to this particular team member to do Y. So that can be automated. Any number of systematized processes can be delivered while you sleep through a CRM. So if you guys don't have a CRM, if you're listening to this and you do not have a robust and versatile CRM that allows you to automate your marketing follow-up, your lead follow-up, your client, your team tasking to do specific fulfillment or conversion tasking to your team, you're leaving a shit ton of money on the table. I'll tell you that much. Yep. So that's why it's mission critical to, if you're stuck with this stuff, to reach out for help. I mean, certainly Wes is someone that I strongly urge you to consider reaching out to if you're needing help in this area, because this is his area of brilliance. So Wes, while we're talking about this and talking about people who might or want help or assistance in this area or in sales in general, how can they reach out to you? How can they connect with you?
The easiest is just thesaleswhisperer.com. Everything's on there. I've got a chat window if they want to chat. My phone number's on there. All of my social media, I'm easy to find. If I'm not on a call, I'm happy to respond real quick. And I have all kind of free tools. So as you look around, the salesagenda.com is a good place to start. But I have a free CRM quiz, bestcrmforme.com. So I have 1,200 pages on my website. So there's something for everyone. If you have problems finding it, just hit that chat window and we'll help you find it.
Well, as you can tell, folks, we're just scraping the surface of the surface of the surface of the profit-producing brilliance that our man Wes Schaeffer can bring to the table. So if you dig this conversation, you're definitely going to be digging more that's in store as it relates to Wes Schaeffer and everything he's got at sales. It's thesaleswhisperer.com, is that right?
Right.
Wes? Yeah, so reach out to thesaleswhisperer.com for more information. Also, I recommend you guys go to, what was that other website, the one with the agenda? Give that one more time.
thesalesagenda.com.
thesalesagenda.com. I noticed that the URL expands to a much bigger URL when I go there. I actually went there right now, but that's why I asked you to repeat it, because you had a much more concise version. So Wes, thank you, man. I appreciate your insight. I appreciate your no BS approach. I love the practicality of your prescription for our audience today. And I'm sure anyone listening who puts even a small fraction of what you've talked about today to practice is going to see a significant uptick in performance in their sales. So thank you again. I appreciate you for that.
Hey, man. My pleasure.
Sweet beans. Well, again, thanks so much for joining us, everybody. That's all for today's episode. This is, again, the Local Domination Podcast, your ultimate guide to getting local clients fast. So if tips galore that help you soar is what you adore, know this, we got more in store. Remember, nothing happens without implementation. So in the meantime, in between time, go forth, engage. It's time for Operation Domination.